You know, I couldn't go out and hire a 7 or an 8. They don't want to work for a 2. There's no inspiration following a 2. At Electric Pro Academy, our mission is real skills to make real money for you. And so what I'm gonna do here is share with you the path that I took and where I stumbled and fell, and some of the atypical approaches that maybe disrupted things to our advantage, and some of the places where I should have just gone the conventional route and rounded out my suite of knowledge. Getting into the trades at the age of 19, I was done with high school. I had senioritis so bad. I graduated. My friend, who turned into my wife later, heard that I wanted to do something with my hands. And she said, my dad's hiring, because everybody in the trades is always hiring. They just need bodies, right? From the time I said yes to the time I showed up on the job site, it was less than 2 weeks. And I just had absolutely no hands-on experience with like anything in my life. I'd never done anything like that before, so it was entirely experimental. I wasn't in it to become an electrician, I was just trying something. I was eyes and ears wide open, I was digesting, soaking up everything I could on the job site. I was watching the plumbers, the framers, I was just a sponge, an absolute freaking sponge. And what I got to do is I got to stand next to the master electrician who would demonstrate the task. Then I would execute the task, he would evaluate my work, and as soon as it was good enough, he'd cut me loose on replicating that through the course of this house. That side-by-side trades education, working with my hands, I felt like I took to it pretty well. I soaked it up, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was probably at least 6, 7, or 8 years later before I finally said, I think I want to be an electrician when I grow up. Like, it really took that long for me to realize the track that I was on and to become fully invested and permanently invested in that track. Most apprentices will go to trade school 1 night a week for 3 hours with about 5 hours of homework, typical fall, spring semester schedule for a total of 4 years. And most employers will pay for that trade school. I actually never did that. I wish I would have. There's so much value in having little spoonfuls of the code fed to you over the course of 4 years. What I did is I took the self-education route. I figured it out, I asked questions, kept my eyes open, read, watched, studied, learned. There wasn't a resource like this on YouTube at the time. That was 15 years ago. And so I just kind of figured a lot of things out. So as an apprentice, as an early business owner, I did not have a clear vision of where I wanted to end up, and I definitely didn't have the pathway of getting there. I was just frantically bushwhacking my way to some vague destination. It's very strenuous. Learned a ton of valuable things along the way. Made some decisions that were unconventional to my advantage and some that were unconventional to my disadvantage. But at the very least, created a clear pathway for the apprentices behind me, my team members that I hired. You know, eventually the pathway becomes clear. Eventually the pathway becomes established, and eventually the destination comes into sight, and quality of life, all of these things that we're all looking for, earning power, all of these things elevate in the presence of all these marginal gains, these aggregate gains that are picked up along the way, where you make small decisions, tactical, strategic decisions that compound on each other until finally the dividends are rolling in. So one of the things to think about in the life of a business is when I started the business, I was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I was like a 2. I knew so little. I was not a licensed electrician. I was naive. I was like a 2 or a 3. You know, I couldn't go out and hire a 7 or an 8. They don't want to work for a 2. There's no inspiration following a 2. I had to elevate my game. I had to learn through trial and error. I had to move from a 2 to a 6 to an 8. And you know what? As you gain that momentum, over time, that value comes into the business. Those people show up and knock on your door. But let me tell you what, my heart in doing this is to give you what I've learned, to give you what I've fought for, to share real skills so you can make real money. So if you feel like you're bushwhacking, subscribe to Electric Pro Academy for real skills to make real money.